أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. We praise Allah, seek His help, ask for guidance. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of ourselves and the consequences of our wrong actions. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيبنا وقائدتنا وقرة أعيننا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وحبيبه وخليله. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد إني أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. To proceed, I remind myself and you all of taqwa of Allah, that is reverential consciousness of Allah, God Most High. Allah says, قال الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Believers have taqwa of Allah with the taqwa due to Him, and do not die except as believers, as Muslims. وقال تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم وما يطع الله رسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Believers have taqwa of Allah and speak words which hit the mark. He will put your actions right for you and forgive you your wrong deeds. All who obey Allah and His Messenger have won a mighty victory. Alhamdulillah, we find ourselves transitioning from blessing to blessing, from blessed seasons to blessed seasons. So last we spoke previously about the blessed sacred month of Rajab, and we spoke about the Isra wal Mi'raj, the Prophet's night journey and his ascension. And as you know, we are currently in the month of Sha'ban. And the month of Sha'ban is a month in which the Prophet ﷺ used to fast frequently. He used to fast frequently to the point that his wife Aisha, she said, I never saw the Prophet ﷺ fast more consecutively than he did in the month of Sha'ban. And one of the reasons why he used to fast in the month of Sha'ban, he was asked about this, and he said that this is a month between Rajab, the sacred month of Rajab, and the blessed month of Ramadan. And a lot of people are neglectful of this month, so I don't want to be neglectful of this month, so I want to increase in ibadah. And likewise, we can learn from this is that Sha'ban for us should be a means to preparing for Ramadan. And as many of you know, we will be entering a few days from now, 3 days according to the lunar calendar, if I'm not mistaken, there's an eve, that's the night of the 15th of Sha'ban. And this is a night which many Muslims all over the world, they hold to be special, and they hold it to be auspicious. However, in recent times it seems the significance of this night seems to be a bit contentious, is that you'll have people on both sides. You'll have people who hold it to be an obligation and that they will censor people who don't hold it and don't observe it. And then you'll have other people who will disregard it to the point where they might dismiss it or disparage it. So before I speak about other matters, I just want to attempt to address the significance, or the insignificance, if you will, of the 15th of Sha'ban. This might be a little bit technical, but I hope that it will be beneficial. From what I've researched and from the conclusion that I've come to, my limited knowledge, is that at the end, the truth of the matter is that there's actually a difference of opinion about the 15th of Sha'ban. So there were scholars traditionally, such as Qadi Iyad, Ibn Jawzi, Hafiz al-Iraqi, is that they reached the conclusion that Sha'ban has no particular virtues. And you'll find that's in the books. However, a large number of scholars, if not the majority of scholars, they regard the 15th of Sha'ban to be a blessed night, a special night. So why is there this difference of conclusion, this difference of opinion? Is that, first of all, there's no explicit Quranic verses about the 15th of Sha'ban. Okay? But there are multiple prophetic hadith, prophetic reports about the 15th of Sha'ban. Some said there's about a dozen or more hadith, prophetic reports about the 15th of Sha'ban. So then the question becomes, is that if there's these hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ, if he explicitly spoke about the 15th of Sha'ban, then why is there a difference of opinion? Right? How can a scholar say, no, it's not special, if the Prophet ﷺ said it's special? And the reason why there's a valid, this difference of opinion, the reason why the scholars disagree, is because they disagree about the authenticity of this hadith. So as you know, the Quran is preserved because it's been transmitted via mass numbers of transmission, right? Thousands and thousands of people from every generation, that it's impossible to conceive that they were all conceiving, they were all conspiring, or they were all mistaken, right? That's the Quran, that's called mutawatir. But the prophetic hadith isn't like that. There's some hadith that are like that have been transmitted on mass transmission, but the majority of the hadith are not like that. And within the hadith literature, the hadith has different grading. So some hadith are rigorously authentic. It's like an A+ or an A, right? Other hadith are authentic, but it's like an A-, B+. And then there's hadith, which is a technical term they call da'if. It doesn't mean weak, it's a technical term. It's less than that. And that's anywhere from, let's say, B- to a D. Right? It doesn't mean that those hadith are completely rejected, as if they were fabrications, because that's a different category. That's called mawdu', fabricated reports. Right? So many of the scholars that disagreed with the merits of the 15th of Sha'ban is that they reached a conclusion, and there's a minority of scholars, that the hadith about the 15th of Sha'ban were not of the highest level of authenticity. However, those who agree, those who hold the 15th of Sha'ban to be a sacred and special night, is that they disagree, and they say from amongst these hadith, two of them specifically are between being Hasan, which is, like I said, A-, B+, and rigorously sahih, rigorously authentic. And also they add to that, is that if you consider the fact that there's so many hadith about this night, is that those add strength to one another. So another example of this is that if two hadith, it's technical, if two hadith are Hasan, if they're, again, this kind of simple language, if they're A-, right, but there's two, it will boost it up to an A. Right? And then likewise, if two hadith are B-, they'll boost it up to a B+ or A. So these are called corroborating reports. So the majority of the scholars, they have reviewed and they have regarded the 15th of Sha'ban to be a sacred night, and that this is why you'll find, for example, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on him, he explicitly mentions in his Majmu' al-Fatawa, his collections of verdicts, he says, أما ليلة النصف يعني من شعبان فقد رؤي في فضله أحاديث وآثار. He says, as for the night of the 15th of Sha'ban, many hadith and traditions have been transmitted concerning it. ونقل عن طائفة من السلف أنهم كانوا يصلون فيها. And it's been related that a lot of the earlier generations, the pious generations, is that they would pray in this night. فصلاة الرجل فيها وحده قد قدمه فيه سلف ولو فيه حجة فلا ينكر مثل هذا. Is that someone praying in this night by himself, is that there's a precedent amongst the Salaf, amongst the earlier generations, and there's a proof in him and that consists of a proof for him, so that no one should censor that act. So the conclusion that I just want to make is that we should take an approach, in my estimation, that is fair and balanced. Is that those who choose to adhere and pray in this night, is that they shouldn't be called innovators, or they shouldn't be censored, right? And also those who chose not to pray or not to observe this night, is that likewise they shouldn't be censored or accused of belittling the prophetic sunnah. And in general, we should avoid argumentation, and we should avoid disputes, especially over things that are not even essential, they're on the periphery of matters, and that ultimately this is a matter which true scholars, bona fide scholars have differed upon. Both sides have their respected proofs, and we should respect that and leave it to that. And that's, I think, a balanced approach. That being said, what are the hadith, what are these prophetic reports that relate to this night, this blessed night of 15th of Sha'ban? There's a hadith in Ibn Majah, and the hadith compiler Ibn Majah, he actually has a whole section, the title of which is about the 15th of Sha'ban. So this hadith says on Mu'adh ibn Jabal, it says, يَطَّلِعُ اللَّهُ عَلَى خَلْقِهِ فِي لَيْلَةِ النِّصْفِ مِنَ شَعْبَانِ, as that Allah gazes upon His creation on the 15th of Sha'ban. Right? Obviously Allah always sees His creation, but this is a special concern, this is a special inayah, this solicitude. فَيَغْفِرْ لِجَمِيعِ خَلْقِهِ, and that He forgives all of His creation. So this is, if you look at it like this is an immense opportunity. This is an opportunity to be forgiven, and we need to be forgiven, especially as we enter into the month of Ramadan. Right? If we don't have to, if we're pure and we enter into in a good state in the month of Ramadan, is that will be a blessed Ramadan for us. That might be the Ramadan that you get Jannat al-Firdaus. That might be the best Ramadan in your life. Right? So Allah forgives sins according to this hadith in Ibn Majah. Illa, except al-mushrik wal-mushahin, except an idol worshipper, idolater, and someone who has hatred and bitterness in their heart. And this hadith, Imam Albani, he actually regarded it to be sahih, rigorously authentic. He said, جملة القول أن الحديث بمجموع هذه الطرق صحيح بلا ريب. And then there's another hadith, these are the authentic hadiths that I mentioned, there's two amongst them that are regarded to be authentic, fully authentic. عن عبد الله بن عمر, same hadith, approximately. يطلع الله عز وجل إلى خلقه ليلة النصف من الشعبان, is that Allah again, He looks at His creation in a special way in the night of the 15th of Sha'ban. فيغفر لعباده, and He forgives His servants, His slaves. إلا اثنين مشاح وقاتل نفس, except for two, someone again whose heart is filled with rancor and is filled with bitterness and hatred, and someone who murders, who kills other people. And again, this hadith, Albani also regarded to be Hasan. The scholar Ahmad Shakir, in his footnotes on the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, he regarded to be sahih. And then there's another hadith that you find in the kitab, the book of Tirmidhi, and Ahmad, and Ibn Abi Shayba, and Bayhaqi. These are great hadith scholars. Is that the Prophet ﷺ, again, it's reinforcing the same meaning, and that's what gives it strength, is that all these hadith, they reinforce the same meaning. Is that from Aisha, and Aisha taqal, so the Prophet's wife said, فَقَدْتُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم لَيْلَةً, is that I woke up in the night and I didn't find the Prophet ﷺ present. فَخَرَجْتُ فَإِذَا هُوَ بِالْبَقِيعِ, so I left in search of him, and I found him that he was in the graveyard in Baqi' in Medina. فقال أكنت تخافين أن يحيف الله عليك رسولك فقلت يا رسول الله إني ظننت أنك أتيت بعد نسائك. فقال, and then the Prophet ﷺ, إن الله عز وجل ينزل ليلة النصف من الشعبان, as Allah, the hadith literally says descends, right? Allah's mercy, Allah's concern descends on the middle, the 15th of Sha'ban, إلى السماء الدنيا, to the lowest heavens. And then he said, فَيَغْفِرُ لِأَكْثَرِ مِنْ عَدَدِ شَعْرِ غَنَمِ كَلْبٍ, is that He forgives the amount of the hairs of the herd of a certain tribe named Kalb, and they were known for having large herds. So He forgives that much. So imagine if the Prophet ﷺ just said that He forgives the sins of the amount of hairs of a sheep. Right? How many hairs are there in a sheep? I don't know. I never looked it up. But the whole tribe, the whole herd, is that He forgives that amount. So again, these are enormous blessings, and these are enormous opportunities, and this is something that we should also take advantage of. And the scholars, they mention a subtle point, is that when there are hadith that are technically da'if, and they're with regards to good actions, is that the scrupulous thing to do is actually to act upon those hadith. Because it could be that those hadith are right, and they're true. And by you acting upon that, is that you're not missing out on the blessings. So the scrupulous thing to do when these hadith are like that, as long as it's not critically weak, as long as it's not critically unauthentic, is that the scrupulous thing to do is to act upon these hadith. And with a few minutes remaining, I just want to touch upon that last point, and this is really important, is the fact that hatred or rancor, right, is that prevents someone from the mercy of Allah. So whether or not we're in the 15th of Sha'ban or any other night, is that we should always strive to pure, whether or not someone takes these, whatever side of the debate someone happens to find themselves on, is that we should make sure, and we should always stay away from having that acrimony or that bitterness in our hearts, that rancor. And I'll just end this khutbah with one beautiful hadith that really reaffirms this meaning. And this hadith is rigorously authentic. It's in the collection of Sahih Muslim. That Abu Hurairah radiallahu said, تُعْرَضُ أَعْمَالُ النَّاسِ فِي كُلِّ جُمْعَةٍ مَرَّةً يَوْمَ الْإِثْنَيْنِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْخَمِيسِ. Is that people's actions are brought forward to Allah twice a week. And again, Allah always sees our actions, but this is has a special connotation. Is that on Mondays and Thursdays. فَيُغْفَرُ لِكُلِّ عَبْدٍ مُؤْمِنٍ. And that Allah forgives, out of His mercy, this is amazing, as that Allah forgives every believing slave, man or woman. إِلَّا, except, again, عَبْدًا بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ أَخِيهِ شَحْنَاء. Except someone who between him and his brother, him and his sister, is that there's some hatred, there's some animosity, there's some rancor between their hearts. فَيُقَالُ أُتْرُكُوا. And then said, leave them. Right? Leave them. So their case is suspended. هَذَيْنِ, leave these two, حَتَّى يَفِيَا, until they reconcile between themselves. So, may Allah give us the tawfiq, and may Allah purify our hearts, and may our hearts be pure, that we can receive from the mercy of Allah, that we can receive from the blessings of Allah. وَقُولُ قَوْلِ هَذَا أَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ ولسائر المسلمين. والله عز وجل يقول وبقول يهدي المهتدين جل في علاه وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. وقال عز من قال الكريم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. In closing, I know I'm running out of time, is that I just wanted to focus on that last point, is that it's really important that we realize the importance of not having that rancor and that hatred in our hearts. And if you look at a lot of the reasons why Muslims are failing, why they're failing, and why we're behind, is that you'll find that hearts are full of disease. You'll find that there's hatred, there's fighting, there's internal disputations. Right? I remember one time I was on my way to Eid prayers, and on the way I saw two brothers actually physically fighting. Right? They're actually physically fighting, not shouting, they're actually throwing blows at each other. And that how are we going to be successful as a Muslim ummah if we have these qualities, if we're filled with hate for one another? When the Prophet said, right, the Prophet told us, right, to have love for each other, and in a beautiful hadith, Sahih Muslim, he says, لا تباغضوا, don't hate each other, one another. لا تحاسدوا, don't have envy for one another. لا تدابروا, وكونوا يا عباد الله, and be, O servants of Allah, إخوانا, be brothers. And لا يحل لمسلم أن يهجر أخاه فوق الثلاث, and it's not permissible for a brother to turn a cold shoulder and to neglect and to abandon his brother for some dispute for more than 3 days. And that as these qualities, they prevent someone from the mercy of Allah, is that having an open heart and having mercy and having well-wishing, having nasiha for your Muslim brother, is that that's one of the greatest means to the mercy of Allah. And that's why I'll just end with this beautiful story that we probably all know, is that Anas bin Malik, he relates that he was sitting in the masjid when the gathering of the Prophet ﷺ, and then the Prophet ﷺ said something. He said, a man who's a man of paradise is that he's going to enter into this masjid. And then somebody entered, he just made wudu, he sat down. The same thing happened the next day. The Prophet said, a man from a man of paradise, a blessed man, is going to enter this masjid. The same person entered. The third day, the same thing happened. And this shows you the companions were very keen to know these qualities and to learn their deen and to be qualified and to be adorned with these beautiful attributes. So one of the companions, if I'm not mistaken, is Abdullah bin Umar, is that he went to that man and he said, you know, he said, may I stay with you for a little bit of time? He said, I had a little bit of a dispute at home, things are a little bit hard. Can I stay with you? Can I be your guest? The man said, sure. So his whole intention was just to watch him and to see what was it that made him a person of paradise. So when he stayed with him, he was just observing him, and what did he see is that he saw nothing special. So the person, he prayed his Fajr, he prayed his Salāt, he went to work, he didn't necessarily get up in the night, he didn't have extensive acts of worship, so he was confused. He said, wait, the Prophet ﷺ said this was a man of paradise, at the same time I don't see outward actions. What is it? So finally, after 3 days, he said that, you know, actually I didn't really have a problem at home. The truth is, I wanted to spend time with you in your company because I heard the Prophet ﷺ said that you're a man of paradise, and I wanted to see what that act or what it is that makes you such a person. And I haven't seen anything that I regard to be too special. So then the man, he said, and I'll end with this, he said that I am exactly as you have seen. Right? What you see is what I have, except that, and this is the exception, I do not find when I go to bed, when I rest at night, is that I free my heart from any hard feelings or any dishonesty or anything towards any Muslims. And he said, I don't find any envy for anybody. And I'm not jealous of anybody, and I free my heart, I clean my heart of everything every night before I go to bed. And then this companion, he realized that that's why the Prophet said what he said about him. وَاعْلَمُوا يَا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ أَنَّ اللَّهَ أَمَرَنَا بِأَمْرٍ بَدَأَ فِيهِ بِنَفْسِهِ فقال إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم اعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم اعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم كن لإخواننا المسلمين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها اللهم اغفر لنا وللمسلمين والمسلمات المؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات مغفرة ظاهرة باطنة سرا وعلانية لا تغادر لنا ذنبا ولا نكتسب بعدها خطيئة ولا إثما إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر أقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.